RG3 tweeted, watching Caleb Williams sobbing with his family after losing the game will break your heart. This young man pours his heart out for his team every time he plays. Any NFL team would be lucky to have him as their QB, and this emotion shows how much the game means to him. Does this hurt his draft stock? Does it help? Does it matter?
Well, if I'm a talent evaluator, I just don't give a shit at all.
So you don't care?
I don't give a shit at all, one way or the other. Nikola Jokic would quit playing basketball like tomorrow. He's the MVP of the league. The team just won it all. He dominates. He's like, I'm too big. I'm too large a man to be a fucking pastry chef. I just won't fit in the kitchen. I want to be a horse jockey, but I sat on a horse once and it collapsed. So I guess I'm a basketball player. Like, I don't give a shit if you're like a ride or die fucking I live to win football games. Or Michael Jordan like needs the guy on the sideline to like shit talk him so then he can write in his diary that he's going to ruin the life of the sixth man on the fucking Bullets next two Wednesdays from now. Meanwhile, LeBron James just like, hey man, I don't know. Should I just like dominate basketball games?
I think there's a lot of factors. One, like you already had 2 losses. And you lost in a shootout. This wasn't for the national title. I don't know. Like, I think talent evaluators would think about this stuff, though.
Well,
I mean, look.
But you know what? Talent evaluators always think about this stuff, and they always shoot themselves in the foot. Guess what? The Eagles are 8-1, and their defense has some issues. But boy, is it held up by the fact that Jalen Carter fell to them. When they're the NFC champions, they played in the Super Bowl. The guy who could have been the one, they're like, well, he got into a fucking thing. And they're like, we don't give a shit.
No, I know. But the only reason I'm bringing this up, I think it's a discussion because the quarterback is supposed to be the cool, calm. And personally, I'm not knocking anybody. Like, I'm a very emotional person. I always have been. But I'm also not a quarterback. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, and I thought about this analogy, and I don't know if it's apt here for this or not, but it's like when my dad died, I could never have been the executor because I couldn't have emotionally handled that. Does that make sense? Like that would have been too much for me emotionally. And I'm just comparing this to the quarterback of the level-headed. And the truth is, I do think of the Manning brothers, Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady had his outburst for sure. Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. My point is like these guys are pretty even keel, good or bad. So I think that's why people are having this discussion about a quarterback.
Listen, I think that the conversation that RG3 brought up is dumb. Okay. Like the idea that this is some, oh, look at this. This means he's going to care. Like he should care. He's going to get paid millions of dollars to care. Michael Jordan was laying on the floor of the locker room, dry humping the trophy, sobbing all over it. You remember that?
Yeah,
everyone's like, there he is, the ultimate competitor. He's been working his whole life for this, and here's where the emotion pours out. Nikola Jokic won his first title, and he was like, can I go home now? May I leave country to go back home? I miss home. To me, it's like dominating athletes come in all shapes and sizes.
Personally,
I mean, listen,
it wouldn't like if I'm a talent scout, it doesn't affect me either. I just want to bring up all the intangibles.
Let me ask you something, Andy. Right now, okay, let's say healthy right now. Week 1 next year. Daniel Jones, 100% healthy. Caleb Williams, 100% healthy. Who do you think should be who would you choose as the quarterback of the New York Giants?
Like just for that game?
He's your week 1 starter for the season.
I would most likely go with the guy who has experience.
You'd go with Daniel Jones over Caleb Williams. My point with that question is, I think a lot of people would say the Giants would be way better off if they could have Caleb Williams going forward than if they have Daniel Jones going forward. Now you're talking about a situation in which he sits under him for a little while, blah, 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 blah.
That's what I'm saying.
But the reason I brought it up is Daniel Jones has been through a lot of shit with the New York Giants, a ton of bad luck, a ton of injuries, a ton of hits. He's the Eli Manning of emotion. They just got sacked for the 9th time. Let's get up again. I'm not going to yell at my offensive line. I'm not going to fucking scream at a head coach on the sideline. Not going to whatever. He's not an emotional roller coaster as compared to Caleb Williams. And I think a lot of people would be like, all right, we'll take the guy who's crying.
I'm not saying, like, for me, there isn't a right or wrong answer with emotion. I think this is a new arena for this discussion because we are finally to the point where men can show emotion. But yeah, show disappointment.
Yeah.
Show hurt, show pain, show tears.
If I was a GM of a football team and I had to draft a quarterback this year, I'd be talking to my scouting staff a lot more about Caleb Williams' tendency to turn the ball over when he plays good teams than I would him crying with his mom.